shortening, and lengthening the poi. A while back, I got a request for more information on how to do that, and now built an entire combo around it. Drex here from DrexFactor.com, bringing you poi spinning and flow arts to benefit your body and brain. And today, I've got a combo for you that's going to mean shortening and lengthening your poi. A lot. Before we dive in, I just want to give a quick shout out to the friends of the channel. Big thanks to Dark Monk, Flow Toys, Pyroterra Light Toys, LMF Props, Spinballs, and Ultrapoi for helping to make the videos on this channel possible. You can learn more about all these awesome companies and the work that they're doing to support flow artists like yourself by checking out the links that I've got down in the description of this video. So I can't remember when this was, but I remember somebody, I think on my Instagram, asking me at one point about things that shorten up the tethers for poi. Like how to go about doing it, why you'd want to do it, and how to do it in flow in such a way that it's not super disruptive. Well, today I'm going to give you a combo that involves shortening and lengthening the poi in a number of different ways, and hopefully it'll help answer some of those questions. So to get down this week's combo, you're going to need the following tricks under your belt. Number 1, waist straps. Number 2, you're also going to need some of those wall plane hybrids that I covered way back in my quarantine tutorials. You're also going to need to know how to do split time opposites, anti-spin flowers, as well as how to do some basic pendulums, and finally how to do corkscrews. I will leave a list of links to tutorials on all of these topics down in the description or up in the cards if you happen to be watching this video on YouTube. I'm going to show you the combo at full speed and then give it to you step by step before showing it to you again in slow motion. So you may be noticing that a lot of these tricks revolve around this position right here where we have the poi either spinning in split time same direction or together opposite, reverse in wheel plane. That's because this is the most convenient spot I know of to kind of play around with shortening planes. And the way that you do it from here is that you're actually going to stick your hands out as though you're kind of like going to push down on the ground. And that is going to create a surface for the poi to wrap around. It is so muggy out, like the sweat is just pouring into my eyes right now. So just to start with, try practicing that. Wrap them up and then unwrap them. Do it again, wrapping up and unwrapping them. Do this both in split time as well as together time to get a feel for it, yeah? Cool. So with that piece under your belt, the other wrapping up exercise that you're probably going to want is going to involve the poi spinning in a horizontal plane. Now here, I'm spinning the poi in split time same direction. So one of them is going to wrap in a different angle than the other one. Namely, if I were to take my right hand and point my fingers up towards the sky, that's where the poi tether wraps around it. On the other hand, with my left hand right here, that's a lot of hands in one sentence, the wrapping point happens when the poi is under my hand. So I'm going to stick my fingers out and let the poi just wrap up there. So the position you're going to want to look for right here is going to be with your right hand fingers pointing up and your left hand fingers pointing down in order to make that happen. Which if I start my poi spinning and everything, you can see, boom, how quickly that happens and everything. Do be careful with the left hand because as your fingers are pointing down, you're going to have to spin the poi just a little bit faster to make sure it stays in plane enough to wrap around your fingers and not wind up beneath them. Cool. So with that understanding under our belts, we're going to start off with our waist straps. Going to the right and then the left, the right, and then as we go to the left here, we're going to do our first wrap up with the poi. Now, as I wrap up my poi in wheel plane here, I'm doing that thing that you are supposed to never do in waist straps, which is I am separating out my hands in order to do it. Normally, we would keep our hands wrapping around, but we can work in this exception here. As we're coming around here and everything, and the poi separate, I'm just bringing my left hand over to my left hand side and wrapping both around my right. Now the trick here is that I'm immediately going to switch from my fingers being pointed out to my fingers being pointed in and switching around to a reverse buzzsaw, yeah? You're probably gonna have to extend your hands out away from yourself as you do this. So look at it this way. As I'm wrapping up my poi, I immediately switch around to that inside plane, yeah? Now from here, I'm gonna reach my right hand up and around, and my left hand is gonna chase on past it, then my right hand is gonna chase past my left hand is gonna chase past my right, and my right hand is gonna chase past my left, yeah? Cool. Now I'm going to once again bring my hands down and wrap up the poi, and instead of unwrapping them in a buzzsaw, I'm going to do something slightly different. Namely, I'm going to bring that right hand up high and keep that left hand down low. Why am I going to do this? Because I'm going to unwrap them at the same time, thinking around, 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 and oh, look at that. I now have my poi spinning in split time opposites. The reason that this happens is that originally we were operating our poi in wheel plane here, right? So they were both going reverse. And when we switch over to having them in the same plane, of course, do you see how the poi heads are each on the thumb sides of my hands? If I orient my hands such that my thumbs are on opposite sides of them, so my right hand thumb is pointing to the right, my left hand thumb is pointing to the left, then when I unwrap the poi, they have to be going in opposite directions. You also just happen to do this in such a way that the timing works out to be split time as well. This is your prompt to go into that split time opposites anti-spin flower. So you got to the flower and it was great, and what we're going to do then is you're going to let the poi, boom, pop out to one side, and as they swing down and around in a pendulum, you're once again going to wrap up the poi in what should feel like a pretty familiar way of doing that at this point. Then we're going to switch into a horizontal plane version of getting out of this. Namely, I'm going to go ahead and just kind of poof, let out the poi. It's almost like there is kind of these little toys that you have that are ribbons that you can just like push out like that and everything. I don't know what the name of them is. I'll maybe look it up and include it in an overlay if I come up with that and everything. But essentially, you're going to start the motion for a corkscrew and just like open up your fingers to let the poi kind of come out and everything. Now, once you're in this position, you can separate out your poi to either side of your body, and as you begin to turn around, you can use the cactus position to wrap up those poi and come to a rest, yeah? So, let's review all that right quick. So I do a waist wrap off to my right, and then my left, and then my right, and then my left, and I open up and wrap the poi and switch them into buzzsaw plane. Right hand goes out, left goes around it, right goes around, left goes around, right goes around, left goes around. I bring them both down and wrap them up around my hands again. Right hand goes high, and I unwrap them into split time opposites, and I do my split time opposites anti-spin flower. That unwrap is something that is sometimes called a shotgun. Now from here, I let both of the poi pop out to my right. I bring them down and around, wrap them up in my hands once again. I begin the corkscrew motion and let the poi out. Once they're fully out, I separate my arms and I let the poi wrap around my hands before I bring them to a rest over to my left-hand side. Yeah? Cool. Let's see that again in slow-mo. Awesome. I would love to see your version of this particular combo. Go ahead and upload video of it to Instagram and use the hashtag either DrexFactorPoi or DrexChallenge. I check them both. And if you want, you can even post it to your stories and tag me. I am at DrexFactor. I will repost your video to my stories so that my followers can check out all of your hard work. Be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe to help other people find this video and help my channel grow. And finally, a huge thank you to my wonderful supporters on Patreon. They are the reason that this video and all the videos on this channel exist. If you would like to sign up to support the work that I do, please head on over to patreon.com/DrexFactorPoi and sign up. You can get early access to all of my content as well as a say in what topics I tackle in the future. Please and thank you. All right, so now that I'm halfway parboiled, I'm gonna get back inside into the air conditioning, but thank you all for joining me. I'll be back with another combo for you next week. Peace.